This is just a quick audio test from me before we start. And I think it's that one. Yes, I think we're live. Is the YouTube chat working? The YouTube chat's working. Excellent. Thank you very much for joining me for the September Gaming Rules monthly live Q&A. Yeah, let me know if everything is okay in the chat. Although Vicky's here with me listening along, so hopefully everything's working. Yeah, thank you very much for joining in. Yeah, lots of people in the chat. Excellent. If you are new to these, if this is the first one you've watched, then the way this is going to go is there's two places that I asked for questions in advance. I'm just rolling up my sleeves because the buttons are scraping against this. I'm a little bit out of sync, apparently. Oh, right. It's doing that again, is it? Okay, bear with us a minute. I'll fix that. It did that last night. No rhyme or reason. The audio has been fine for, well, probably about a month or so now. And then, yeah, I did a live unboxing yesterday and it was all over the place. So yeah, let me know if that is working okay. No, it's not working okay. It's still out of sync. I don't know what to suggest. Bear with us a minute. Takes head out of shot, fixes sync. Yes, that would work. Just stop looking at me. Bear with a minute. Let me turn that on. Okay, I've done that. The other thing I can do is I can actually stop the broadcast and start it again. Let's do that. I'll be with you 1 second. We should be back on. I basically killed the stream and started it up again. Yeah, pretend it's an old Japanese monster film. I like that. I like that comment. Let me know if that's okay. Let me know if it's any better. Thumbs up here. So hopefully that is it. Badly dubbed Paul. Yeah, so we're okay. So the way this is going to work is, yeah, there's two places that I ask for questions in advance. There is my guild on BGG, which if you are not a member of, go on there now. Vicky's going to put a link in the show in the comments now. It's a guild on Board Game Geek, guild number 2258. And what you need to do is you need to join, but don't just join, you need to subscribe. If you don't subscribe, you won't actually see any notifications. Now, don't worry, it's not a very busy guild. But what I'm going to do, as soon as this, well, probably tomorrow, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, I'm actually going to put up a thread on my guild where people can ask me questions ready for next month, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through all of the questions that I've been asked over the last month, which all get put into one place. And then there's also a new Facebook group that I'm a member of, which is the Board Game Revolution. I mean, I've been a member of it for a while, but after the problems with the other Facebook group that I was in, I've moved my priority over to Board Game Revolution. So what I've done is I've posted a thread on there and I've asked for various questions in there. So we've got those questions. So if you're watching this live and you're going to be here for the next hour and a half and you have any questions for me, please don't ask them just yet. We'll get to you. We'll get to the live questions later on. If you can't stick around and you do want to ask the questions now, please do so. Vicky will see them, put them in a document, which I'm looking at. It's all very organized and I will try to get to them. Right, okay, so let's crack on with the first question I had. Now, bear in mind, some of these questions are from a few weeks ago, okay? So as soon as I posted the thread on BGG to say, what questions would you like to ask me in September? I had a reply from Morton who said, yeah, good idea to post it earlier. And he said, I'll start by asking, how are you? So moving on to the next question, I'm not going to answer that one. Chewy says, my question is, how has COVID changed my gaming, if at all? So yeah, COVID has changed the gaming for me in multiple ways. First thing is, obviously, I can't have groups of people round the house to play games. Now, in the last month or so, I have been having Rick's come over a couple of times, and Nick and Gemma have come over a couple of times. What we're doing is we're only mixing with one other household at a time. Nick and Gemma live together, so they've come round and I've done some Friday games with them. And then Rick's, as I say, I've mentioned Rick's come over a couple of times. So in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I have started in-person gaming again. But like many people, my gaming moved online. So what it did when lockdown started, I know a lot of people were affected by it and not getting their gaming fix. I adapted to that and I turned to online measures. Now, there's a thing called Tabletop Simulator that I've been aware of for years. And I remember looking at it a while and not having a great opinion of it because I felt that playing a game on there was a bit fiddly and it was a problem. Because of lockdown, I went back to Tabletop Simulator, looked at it, and I've realised the potential of it. And that has kind of opened up for me massive new gaming opportunities in multiple ways. First of all, I can now play games against people around the world. So friends and Patreon supporters that are in different parts of the country or even in different countries, I've been able to play games with them, which has been fantastic. I've also been given access to a wider range of games other than the ones in my immediate collection. Now, some of those mods on Tabletop Simulator are fully approved and you know, it's all agreed on, and some of them not so much, but they are there, and I've been able to play a lot of games that I wouldn't have been able to play already. So yeah, so it has affected me playing of games, but I feel that I've adapted to it in, you know, the best way I could really. I've not let it get in the way of my gaming so much. And in some respects, it's actually increased the amount of gaming that I've been able to do. I did kind of go over the top a bit in the first couple of months, and I was playing a lot of online gaming, and it was really starting to get in the way of the other stuff. But I've sort of toned that back a bit. But yeah, I mean, tonight, I'm running a playtest game tonight. I'm running a playtest game of Frostpunk tonight using Tabletop Simulator. Tomorrow, I'm going to be playing a game of Plunderous, which is going to be live streamed. That's with a couple of guys over in America. That's using Tabletopia. Friday, a friend is coming over. Dan's coming over on Friday, and we're going to play some games in person. So I'm kind of mixing it up a bit. Have I tried Board Game Arena? Yes. So I've played on Board Game Arena. In fact, I'm playing 2 games on Board Game Arena right now. Kingdom Builder and Clans of Caledonia. So Board Game Arena is excellent. The biggest problem I have with Board Game Arena is the lack of an undo feature. I like the ability to sort of click things, have a look at them, and then say, no, I don't want to do that. Kingdom Builder has that. Some of the older games don't have that. I also play on Yucata, Brettspielwelt, Voyageur, I play on there as well. So there's a number of places that you can play games online, and I use those. Andrew wants to know which board game would be the best to build a house out of. And this is one I've got my own answer to this, but I'm going to put the answer over to the chat. So if you're going to build a house and you're only allowed to build it out of a board game, multiple copies of the same board game, which game would you choose? I'll come back to the question later on, because as I say, I do have my own answer to it. And I've got a reason why. Let me know. Vicky will collate all of the answers and put them in there. Neil joined last time. So Neil said he stumbled across my channel during the last Ask Me Anything, thanks to a YouTube suggestion. So I don't know how the YouTube algorithms work, but Neil was watching YouTube at the time and he got a suggestion to watch Paul Grogan's live Q&A. Never seen the channel before, didn't know about me, didn't know what I did, but discovered the channel through that. So thank you very much, Neil, and hello if you are watching again. Speaking of YouTube algorithms, click that little thumbs up. Okay, the way that the YouTube algorithms work, and they tend to work against me. I'm really trying hard to learn more about how it works, because my videos don't tend to get caught up in the YouTube algorithms that other people's do. But that thumbs up really does help. So thumbs up, leave a comment, all of that sort of stuff, that really helps. So while you're here, give it a thumbs up. Anyway, Neil says, I think I heard you say that I worked on the Robinson Crusoe rulebook. Yes, I did. And also Tony Bordell was watching and commenting to the last month's Q&A. So the question is, Robinson Crusoe or Snowdonia Deluxe for solo mode? And this is another question for the chat. Or should you get a different worker placement type game altogether for solo? So preferences are lower fiddliness, lower setup and teardown, lower randomness and look factor, but high replayability. And he says, I know some people say, oh, they have lots of scenarios, so there's lots of replayability, but are they really that different? And I think some Snowdonia scenarios are non-soloable, plus it's twice the price. Okay, so I've played Robinson Crusoe. Yes, I did work on the rulebook for Robinson Crusoe, and I have played Robinson Crusoe. It does play solo, but, and I'm going off information here, mostly gathered from other people. Robinson Crusoe, I don't think scales perfectly. I've heard some people say, like, you know, the solo game is either too easy or way too hard, and the 4-player game is too easy or way too hard. I can't exactly remember what, but I think you'll have a different experience depending on the player count in terms of how difficult it is. In terms of setup time, I think both are probably comparable. I think Snowdonia's probably got less setup time. I think there's less stuff in there. I mean, Robinson Crusoe is a more complex game. Let's get it out of our way straight away. That's not saying that as a disadvantage. It is a more complex game. There's a lot more rules to it. Snowdonia is a more standard Euro-y style game, I think. The scenarios in both, I certainly know from Robinson Crusoe, the scenarios are quite different. You have different objectives. The rules stay the same, but the way that you approach that scenario and the way that you do different things, certainly in scenario 1, you've got to go get in a source of wood, you've got to find a place to shelter, and all of those sorts of things. Scenario 2, different objectives, so you have to take a different approach to it. And I think it's the same with Snowdonia as well. You mentioned randomness and luck factor. Now, I know Robinson Crusoe is a massively popular game, and I respect the game, and it does tell a great story. But I think the randomness and the luck in the game is quite high. Certainly in scenario 1, even if you play brilliantly and you make the right decisions and you do everything right, you need to light a fire. You can only light a fire if you develop the flint or the fire making thing, which means you need to find flint, which is in the mountains. If you don't find the mountains until the end of the game, you're not going to win. Or if you don't find a good place to have a shelter, and that can be down to the randomness. So there's lots of random factors in the game. I do enjoy playing Robinson Crusoe, but I do find the luck factor in it quite high. It all depends what you want in the game. Just bear with us a minute. I just had a message come in, so I'm just going to mute. Where's that message? I've got too many windows open. There it is. Let's close that down. Right. Okay. Now, I did speak to Tony earlier on today, and he did tell me that the scenarios in Snowdonia are soloable. I only have the base game of Snowdonia. I think I've got one of the expansions, but it's not something I've played solo yet. Now, I am doing a lot more solo gaming these days, so it is on my list to try out. And Tony did say he's got a spare copy of Snowdonia Deluxe in his cellar with my name on it. So at some point, I'll be covering that on the channel. Anyway, I hope that helps. Other people in the chat have probably got an opinion on Snowdonia or Robinson Crusoe for solo play. As I say, for me, depends what you want out of the game. If you want the narrative, then Robinson Crusoe. If you want a story, if you want a more of a Euro game, probably Snowdonia. Right, Mick is asking, in my last Q&A, I said I think Castles of Burgundy has a scaling issue with less than 4 players. He says less, I'll correct it to fewer than 4 players. Could I go into detail? And actually, as a separate message, Dan Condon-Jones also says, I've seen you mention that Castles of Burgundy works best at 4 players and is problematic with fewer. Thank you, Dan, for using the word fewer. Now, the thing is, I am due to do a review of Castles of Burgundy. It was supposed to be this month, although it was never going to be this month. So each month, my Patreon supporters vote on which game I'm going to review in the month. And this month, the one that won the most votes was Castles of Burgundy, which was a bit of a surprise, actually. I'd have thought they were going to vote on something a bit newer, but I put it on the list and it got voted on. But because of my workload at the moment, I'd already said I'm not going to do the review this month. And here we are on the last day of the month and I haven't done the review. And at the moment, to be honest, it's probably not even going to be October. So I am due to do a full review of Castles of Burgundy at some point in the next couple of months. Rather than make you wait for that, it's all about the animals. And I have the same issue with a game like Suburbia, okay? So in Suburbia, there are these tiles that come out in the game, but they don't all come out. And you don't know when the game starts which tiles are going to come out and which ones aren't going to come out. So you're having to make decisions at the start of the game of what to buy without actually knowing what else is in the game. And that's what I don't like. It's one of the reasons why I like Through the Ages, because although the cards come out in a random order, all the cards come out. You see all of the cards. You know exactly what the mix of cards is there, so you can make, I want to make informed decisions. And with Castles of Burgundy, the animals, with a two-player game, because a lot of people have said two-player is the best way to play. I think two-player for me is the worst way to play Castles of Burgundy without a house rule on the animals, because in the extreme case, you might decide to buy some cows on round one and put them in a field, and the other player buys the sheep and puts them in a field, and no more cows come out. For the entire game, you might not see any more cows because you're not going to see all of the tiles. Which means, and the other player gets all of the sheep or the pigs, whatever they take, their animal comes out and they take them and they get loads and loads of points. You take the cows, put it in the big field, and no more cows come out. That can happen. So yeah, the house rule is apparently you take out one of the types of animals with two-player. So I've not played that house rule. But anyway, that's it. I think Castles of Burgundy is a great game. Used to be my favourite Stefan Feld game. I think the scalability is because of the tile mix. Right, Mick has got another question, and Mick says, what is my opinion on the trend of Uwe Rosenberg games that tend to become more open? For example, Agricola, or Misery Farm as it's known, is notoriously punishing and tight, but there is still quite a difference between games like Le Havre or Et Labora versus Caverna and Feast for Odin. He's interested in my thoughts on it. Now, this isn't really a sore subject, but I've been criticised for preferring the more recent Uwe Rosenberg games, such as Feast for Odin and Caverna. And I'm really glad you asked this question, mate, because you're absolutely right. Caverna compared to Agricola. Agricola is harsh. Agricola is punishing. Agricola is a real struggle. And you're constantly having to feed your people, and you're having to do that, and you're having to do that, and if you don't build this at the right time, they starve. It's hard and it's punishing. Caverna, there are more ways you can feed your people in Caverna. And for me makes it a more enjoyable game to play. I've been called less of a gamer, and I'd be more of a gamer if it's really weird. And I know some people out there think Agricola is the better game because it's harsh, because it's more punishing, because it's more stressful, and because those decisions are more important. And you are less of a gamer if you prefer Caverna. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I think, and that's I'm not less of a gamer because I want my games less tense, less stressful. Now, on that subject, and the reason why, Caverna is a less stressful game to play, but you're still competing with the other players. You're still playing for who's got the most points. So it's still tense and it's still stressful in that way. I just don't want the tightness of Agricola in that one false move and you're completely screwed and you didn't build the oven on time and you misplayed one piece and that's it. I don't want that in a game anymore. I might have used to want that in a game, but now it's just like, why? Why would I want that kind of thing in a game? Caverna for me gives me everything I want. Feast for Odin, again, Feast for Odin is open and I enjoy the openness of the game. I enjoy the fact that you can do so many different things. And yeah, it's all good. So anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I prefer the more modern. I have no intention on ever going back to Agricola. I know it has the cards and I know it has more variability in that, but I have Caverna and I prefer that as a game. Right, let's go back to the previous question. Did we get any answers to the question of building a house out of a game? One. Where is it? Okay. Okay, so Toby is saying Scandaroon for an affordable house. Very funny, very funny. And if Tony's in the chat, he'll be happy with that joke. Yeah, okay, so okay, well, I'll answer this myself. My thoughts on building a house out of a game would be Too Many Bones. It's a solid box, it's heavy, but also it's filled with lots of chips and lots of neoprene mat. So if you want it to be sturdy and potentially fireproof, I would say that. Anyway, that was my thoughts on it. Any comment, any answers to the Robinson Crusoe or for solo play, Robinson Crusoe or Snowdonia? Answers in the chat. Right, quick drink. And I just wanted to say, I have a new mask. So when I go out, I now have a new mask to wear. This is made for me. It's a personalised mat from Stella at Meeple University. So thank you very much, Stella, for this. If you don't hear back from Gaming Rules right away, it means I'm live streaming. So this arrived. It had to go from Australia through customs. It got checked and everything else. But yeah, thank you very much, Stella. I now wear this whenever I go out to the shops or the Chinese. What else was I going to mention? I was going to mention also the contest. So every month during this live Q&A, I do a contest. Okay. Vicky is going to post a link to the contest in the chat right now. It's a Google form. And all you need to do is click on that Google form. It will ask you for your name, your email address, and it will ask you for the secret word. And the secret word today, it's actually 2 words. It's Aston Martin. If you want to put Aston Martin DB7, is it a DB7? I think it's a DB. Anyway, Aston Martin is the word. This is Vicky's Lego James Bond 007 car that you got for Christmas. Yeah. So go to the link, fill in the Google form. If you are a patron supporter, please put that. And basically you will get 2 entries if you're a patron supporter and 1 entry if you're not a patron supporter. And I'll do the draw and somebody's going to win £25 worth of vouchers from Games Law. So thank you very much to Games Law for giving that voucher and sponsoring the show. Right, let's move on. Next we have Timo Tabe. How do you decide which games to make a how to play video for? Is it only sponsorships from the game developer stroke publisher? So yeah, thank you very much for this question. I've actually been asked this a couple of other times in the last month on various Facebook groups. Obviously, I produce a lot of different types of content. The how to play videos that I do is one type of content. I also do playthroughs and solo plays and all of that. If we're talking specifically the how to play videos, they are sponsored. And the reason that they are sponsored is even for a short, simple game, those videos take me about 3 days to create. For a big, complex game, those videos can be up to 65, 70 hours of work for one video, okay? I'm currently working, you might see it on the table here, I'm currently working on the how to play video for Kanban, Kanban EV, which is here. So I'm working on this at the moment. This is a big job. This is going to take a long time. There's no way that I could take 70 hours out of my paid work to do something like this for free. So all of my how to play videos are sponsored. How do I decide which games to do videos for? I'm thankfully in the position right now where I am able to select which games that I do how to play videos for. And that means that I can focus on doing videos for games which I really want to do videos for. Whereas when I got started 4 or 5 years ago, and I just started Gaming Rules, and I was basically saying, and somebody came to me and said, Paul, we want you to do a tutorial video. I'd be like, well, yes, because I need the money. Not saying I don't need the money now, I do, but I'm now at the position where I can sort of pick and choose. So the videos that I've got coming up over the next few months, I have Kanban EV, I have Merv, I have Lost Ruins of Arnak, I have Gates of Mara, I have Under Falling Skies, I have a couple of ones from Jordan Draper. What else have I got this year? I think that might, I've got Venice, and I've got another one as well. So yeah, I like if I take my working hat off for a minute and put Paul Grogan the gamer hat on, I would say all of the games that I'm doing how to play videos for the next few months, and certainly the ones that I've already got booked in for next year, are for games which I would personally enjoy playing myself. So there you go. Have I watched Tenet yet? Oh, right. Quick question from the live chat. No, we haven't actually been to the cinema since lockdown. You still not want to go to the cinema? Okay. Tenet is the latest Christopher Nolan film. I'm a massive fan of Christopher Nolan. it is a film that we would have gone to see at the cinema if the situation were different from it than what it is now. I just don't think either of us feel that comfortable by going out and putting ourselves in that situation, which is a shame. Anyway, if I'd have timed these questions right, because the next question is from Paul Bryant from Games Law. He said, last month, I ran the competition to win £25 of vouchers via the web form. Did that make the whole process easier to manage, and did I get more entries? So yeah, prior to last month, what I used to do is I used to say, please email me. And it was a mess, because what happened is people emailed, all of those emails arrived in my inbox alongside all of the other emails. Half of them went to junk, and I had to spend half an hour going through, fishing them all out and counting them all. Moving over to the web form, it took me a few minutes to set the web form up, but then it was done. And once I've done the web form, it's really easy. What I do is I just create a CSV file from the web form, order it, put numbers next to everybody's name, and then pick a random number and somebody wins the voucher. So yeah, it's a lot easier. Did I get more entries as a result? I did. I got 99 entries last month. So that's 99 people entered the contest last month. Normally, it's about 40. Now, I don't know why that was. I don't know whether that was because I moved over to a Google form or just that last month's Q&A was a lot busier and a lot more people entered. But anyway, yes. So what Paul is talking about is the thing that I just mentioned earlier on, which was the Google form to enter the contest. And I'm closing that, I think, when did I say I'm closing it? Friday noon or Sunday? I can't remember. Anyway, if you're not watching this live, if you're watching this later on today or tomorrow or at the weekend, I think I'm going to keep the contest open until Sunday. So at some point on Sunday, I will close the Google form, and that's when I'll do the draw to win the vouchers. Right. Simon Shaw, do I listen to any gaming or non-gaming related podcasts? Because Simon has a hefty commute to work and recently discovered that listening to gaming podcasts really shorten the journey. He's guessing that the answer is no. So one of the downsides with having a zero traveling time to work is I now don't have half an hour in the car every day to work and half an hour back. And I used to use that half an hour to listen to gaming related podcasts and audiobooks. So the two things that I listen to mainly are the BBC Radio 4 comedy show. I would listen to them. And also I would listen to audiobooks. I've listened to the entire of the Harry Potter series of audiobooks. I'm sort of halfway through, or more than halfway through, the Dresden Files audiobooks. But you're absolutely right. At the moment, I'm having difficulty getting back into the audiobooks. I need to, because I need to be doing a little bit more exercise. I need to be spending time tidying the house. So what I should do, and it's all about just managing my work-life balance at the moment. But if I was to say, right, Paul, I'm going to take half an hour out, I'm going to tidy the games room, and I'm going to put on an audiobook. I could, I just don't at the moment. But yeah, if I was taking a holiday and had a long journey ahead, I would get the audiobooks for book 13 of the Dresden Files, which is the one that I'm currently on at the moment, and I would listen to that. And then when I'd finish those, I would probably go into more audiobooks. So the question is, would they be gaming related? Probably not, to be honest. And the reason why is there are so many books that I want to have read. And for me, because I can't really read books, which is another story, I listen to audiobooks, and there are so many on the list. So I'm glad that I've listened to the Harry Potter ones, even though I wasn't a big fan of the film. I'm glad that I'm listening to the Dresden Files ones because they're fantastic, but there is a whole bunch of other audiobooks that I really want to listen to. So some of the old Arthur C. Clarke novels, Isaac Asimov novels, maybe even the Dune series, things like that. And there's so many books out there that I want to have read that's why I wouldn't listen to gaming related podcasts, because I've got other things. Right. Couple of questions in from the live chat, just to interrupt the flow of the previous questions. Question in from Dan: when do I think the official Rococo Teach will be released? This is really unusual, Dan. So I have filmed, edited, and they are on my YouTube channel now as unlisted, so you can't see them. 2 videos for Rococo, one for the base game and one for the expansion plus the solo rules. They're done. They're dusted. They're finished. And they're not live. And the reason why it's unusual is because since then, I have filmed, edited and released the bonfire video. So the Rococo videos were done before the bonfire video, but I haven't released them yet. I am waiting on Eagle Griffin Games telling me when to release them. So it's all about when those games are going to start getting delivered to backers. And I don't know exactly when that will be. I hope, and I think it will be in the next few weeks, but I'm not quite sure. Right. Another question in the live chat from Oliver. I know this is quite old. You made an unboxing of Miss Thea from Taboola Games, but no review. Yes, I found that the other day. I haven't actually played the game yet. Unfortunately, my list of unplayed games has been going up and up and up and up now for about a year. And I'm going to try and start taking steps towards getting that list down somehow. Although with lockdown, it's quite difficult. So no, I haven't played it yet. I haven't had a chance to play it. All I know from other people is that the game is a little bit too long. That's what other people have said. It's a good game, but it just takes a bit too long. So yeah, there we go. Right. Other questions. Let's have a look. This is a question in from B. Thank you very much, B, for this question. And she got two questions because she's a fan of my rulebooks and learning videos. So the first question is about how many hours does it take to write a script for a complex rulebook? For example, Kanban EV. Kanban EV is a good example because there are not many games that I do videos for that are any more complex than Vital Lacerda games. Vital Lacerda makes super heavy, complex games. Some people would disagree, fine. And his games are probably the most complex the games that I cover. But it's different, okay? So Kanban EV specifically is the new version of Kanban. I've already got Kanban, I've already played Kanban, and I already knew how to play Kanban. Now, I'm not saying that I knew all of the stuff about it, but certainly when looking at the new version, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Also, this rule book here, I wrote most of this rule book. So doing a script for a game which is a re-implementation of a 5-year-old game that I already knew how to play, going through a rule book that I worked on means the script actually took me a lot less time than it would normally. I can tell you now, writing the script took a total of, I think it was about 12 hours. I think it was somewhere between 10 and 12 hours. And then even today, when I was actually filming bits of it, I was reading the script back and I was like, well, that's rubbish. So I'll change that bit. Quite often, I actually say something different on camera, even though I'm using an auto cue. I've got a teleprompter. I quite often say something different because when I'm actually sat here and I'm reading it out, I'm like, nah, that doesn't sound right. So I change it along the way. If Kanban EV was given to me and I didn't know the game and I had never played the game, it would have taken me a lot longer because I would have had to first learn the game. Then I would have had to play the game. Then I would have had to probably play the game again, practicing teaching the game, because my scripts are not just taking the rule book and convert it into a video. That's not what my videos are. My videos are, okay, here's the game. How am I going to make a video that best teaches this game? And that relies on me having taught the game, having experienced playing the game, knowing how best to approach the teacher of the game. So if it wasn't a game I already knew, it would have taken longer. Question 2, intensive work such as writing a script can continue in dreams. Is this the case with me? Do I dream of the board games I am working on, or do I wake up with new ideas? So yes, unfortunately, and this is compounded by the fact, and I'm not complaining here, and just in case you think I'm complaining, right now I am going through a period of working until 11 o'clock or midnight, 6 days a week, okay? It's just where my life is at the moment. And it's been going like that now for about 6 weeks, and it's going to continue for another 6 weeks. But what that means is that my brain is working, and it is intensive, and I'm not really taking any breaks during the day. And then I go to bed at 11 o'clock or midnight, and I don't give myself any kind of buffer zone. What that means is when I go to bed, my brain is still in work mode and it's still focused. And what that does lead to is some very, very strange dreams, bordering on nightmares. So on Friday night, after I'd done the live playthrough of Pendulum, which was a game that I'm not professionally involved in at all, but we learnt how to play Pendulum from the rulebook on Friday night and did a video. If you want to see it, it's on the channel. And I had a nightmare on Friday night and I woke up suddenly and it was Pendulum. It was the rules of Pendulum. And what I'd done is, in my head, I'd actually made them twice as complicated by introducing a whole extra step. And I was kind of semi-conscious and I was kind of aware that it wasn't made, but my brain was going round and round and round. And yeah, I woke up and it was, yeah. So yes, I do have very strange dreams about it. Right, couple more questions from the live chat. And then I'm going to mention the contest. So from the Dirty 8 Super, have you played On the Origins of Species? I haven't. Let me just look that up. If it's the one I'm thinking of. Origins of Species. It's not finding it. Origins of Species? Origins of Species. I think I know the game. I think I know what you're talking about. Let's search for Origins. Yeah, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's not that one. Okay. I'm not finding it. I'm searching for Origins and I'm not finding it. Origin. On the Origin of Species. Okay, there we go. So no, I've not heard of this game. Or have I heard of this game? I'm not sure. Let me just have a look at the board. Okay, no, not come across that one at all. So yeah, the answer to that question is, have I played it? I haven't played it. Nigel wants to know, am I going to be covering the new Vladimir Suki game? I'll tell you what, I'd love to. And I reached out to them 3 or 4 months ago, and I said that I was very interested in it. And then when they said they were sending prototypes out to reviewers, I said I was very interested in it. No copy has arrived. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping that they would contact me because I'm a massive fan of their games. I'm friends with them, and I said that I'm extremely interested in the game. But yeah, nothing arrived, unfortunately. Board Gaming Ramblings is here. Hi, Johannes and Sunniva. Have I played Tekhenu or Alma Mater yet? No, I haven't. I mean, both of them look like my kind of games. I've got friends who have played Tekhenu and have said it's really good. And Alma Mater, again, I've heard that's really good. Yeah, I don't have either of those games. I'm in the position now where I'm not actually going out and acquiring new games myself, because I mentioned the list of games that I have and the list of unplayed games is still going up. I have more coming in than I'm able to actually deal with. So if I was to go out and start getting extra ones myself, that's going to impact on the other ones. Would I like review copies of both of those games? Absolutely. And if I got sent review copies, I would definitely cover them on the channel, because they both sound like games that I would definitely like to play. Couple of other live questions. Stephen says, so excited for the Grand Austria Hotel expansion. Am I going to be working on this one? Do I have any details? So thank you very much, Stephen, for the question. And I can tell you a little bit about this. This is something that I've announced on my Patreon page a few weeks ago, actually. And it is a little bit of a change that's going to be coming to my channel, which is a little bit of an experiment. It might work, it might not, I don't know. But I get a number of offers from publishers to produce videos for them to help them promote their Kickstarter. Most of the time they're asking for a review, okay? Most publishers write to me and say, Paul, we like your videos. Whether they actually watch them or not, who knows, because it's a standard response. Oh, we love your work. We've got a game, it's coming on Kickstarter. We'd like to send you a copy. We'd like you to do a review video. How much do you want? Okay. And for those people out there who don't think there are paid reviews, okay, I get emails regularly offering me money to do a review of their game prior to their Kickstarter. I turn them down. I have always said no. For a start, I don't do paid reviews. I don't want anybody to give me any money for a review. So I go back to them. I have a standard email response and say, when you say review, do you mean a review? Or do you just mean that you want me to produce some coverage of your game telling people about what it is? Because I'm not going to take any money for a review. But I simply don't have the time to do these. And I get a lot of these offers in. And some of them, to be fair, are like games that I'm not interested in whatsoever. You can tell the email, you know, hi Gaming Rules team, we love the content that you produce. It's all very, very generic. Here's our new game, which is a little bit like Cards Against Humanity. And we think it'll be a perfect fit for your channel. Oh, right. Oh, wait. Which channel have you been watching then? I get a lot of them. They go straight into the junk. But I do get other ones for games where I think, oh, yeah, that looks quite interesting. But I don't have the time. At the moment, I need to be cutting down the amount of work that I do. And although videos for Kickstarter previews get tons of views, I mean, I've seen some Kickstarter previews from really small channels. I mean, they're good previews, but they're small channels and they get thousands of views because people like these Kickstarter previews. But I've never done them. So, based on that and the fact that people like Rado now have other people doing videos on his channel, and the fact that I know some other content creators who produce these videos that I think are quite good, I came up with an idea. And what I did is I reached out to Russ from For Chits and Giggles. He's got his own channel, he's got his own YouTube channel, and I said to him, and we had a good discussion, and I said, Russ, I think the work you do is great. Me and Russ have become friends. I like the videos that he creates. I'm getting a lot of these offers in that I can't do because I don't have time. But would he be interested in effectively doing a Kickstarter preview video, and it would go on my channel? And I discussed it with him, and Russ agreed to it. And this is a very, very long story, but I kind of wanted to take this opportunity to explain why this is happening. So basically, Grand Austria Hotel, I really like the game, okay? I have a copy of Grand Austria Hotel. I think the game is great. I have the usual thing that don't play it with 4 people, but I think the game's great. And they got in contact with me and they said, Paul, we'd like you to do a Kickstarter preview for Grand Austria Hotel, the expansion. And I'm like, I'd love to do that, but I don't have time. But what about Russ? Spoke to Russ. Russ said he really likes the game as well. He'd love to do a video. Spoke to the publisher and said, look, it won't be me doing the video. It'll be Russ, but it'll be on my channel and I will check it to make sure it's all okay. Are you happy with that? And they said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. So coming soon to the Gaming Rules channel will be a Kickstarter preview of the Grand Austria Hotel expansion, but it won't be me on camera. I hope that's okay. Am I going to be working on this one? So no, I'm not going to be working on this one. Russ is going to be working on this one, but it is going to be on my channel and he is going to be telling you in the video what the expansion brings to the game. I currently don't know anything about it myself. Anyway, sorry for the long answer, but that's been something that's been going on in my mind for quite a while now. Russ is already doing another video for me for Here Be Dragons. That one is going to be done first, so you'll probably see that on the channel soon. I'm a little nervous because I know there are some people who might come to my channel and go, oh, Paul's done a video on the Grand Austria Hotel expansion, and then it's not me. And people might say, well, this is no good. We come to Paul's channel to watch Paul. And I'm like, well, I'm one person, right? I can't do everything that I would want to do. Anyway, Dimitri says, what can you say about board games designed by Russian authors? There's not many of them. Yeah, I can't say that much about them because I don't know of that many, to be honest. Yeah, let me know if you know some board games designed by Russian authors. I can't think of any offhand. I mean, there's some that I worked on the rule books for one Russian client that I had a few years ago. Oh yeah, one of them was a drinking game. Yeah, believe it or not, I did the rule book for a drinking game. I mean, yeah, totally outside of my wheelhouse, but you know. Right, okay, a quick mention now of another contest that I'm running. And I'm mentioning this now because it is the 30th of September. And this contest is going to close, I think, I've said on Friday. So it's currently Wednesday. This Friday, the contest is going to close. So I'm running multiple contests at the moment. There's the one that you can enter just from watching this live Q&A where the secret word is Aston Martin. That's to win £25 worth of vouchers from Games Law. I am also running another contest right now to win a copy of Bonfire. Bonfire is the new Stefan Feld game. I accidentally got sent a spare copy of it. No, it wasn't accidentally. I'm giving it away. And to enter that contest, you need to go and watch my Bonfire video. So I have done a how to play video for Bonfire. It went live recently. It's on the channel now. And the details of how to enter the Bonfire contest is in the Bonfire video. It's in the show notes in the Bonfire video. And I'm going to pay the postage. I have the copy here. I will send it to you wherever you are in the world. So don't think if you're not in the UK, you can't enter. You can enter. So go and watch the Bonfire video. Not now, because you're watching this, but afterwards, and enter that contest. I have one copy of Bonfire to give away. Right, back to the live questions. GameSize says, have you thought about doing a video introducing Russ to your channel? Actually, yeah, I thought about that. I don't know when. Yeah, it's a good idea. I'll talk to him about that, but I'm not sure. Maybe you're right. Maybe I just do a short 5-minute video of me talking to Russ and explaining what this is all about and just put it on the channel. I've not really, yeah, that's an interesting idea. I'll think about that. And I'm not saying I'll think about that in, this is a silly idea, let's shut up. It's actually quite a good idea. And it means that I can get across the message that I wanted to get across. It's whether people would watch it. Hilmar says, living in a country that belongs to Europe but has been treated very poorly with Kickstarter creators, would you be wanting to make a segment on Kickstarter and how shipment is sometimes beyond crazy? So Hilmar's in Iceland, and shipment to Iceland, even though it belongs to Europe, is insane, right? So yeah, it's really difficult when you're backing Kickstarters and you're from a country where the delivery charge is, almost as much as the game. Would I be wanting to make a segment on Kickstarter and how shipment is sometimes beyond crazy? I'm not sure what you mean. If you mean making a video about shipment to Kickstarter, yeah, I'm not sure. Let me know what you mean by that, because I'm not sure what you mean. Paul Taylor says, and has that question come in? Because Paul asked that. Yeah, Paul's already asked that question. So if Paul's in the chat and asked that question, Paul's already asked that question somewhere else. I'll come to that in a minute, Paul. I will get to you. Frank says, how important is economic game theory in board game design? I'm not a designer. I don't know. Do most designers have some understanding of game theory? I would think, and this is just a guess because I'm not really a games designer. Technically am, but not really. I'm just a Yahoo who calls himself a games designer. If you understand the reference to that, then good. How important is economic game theory? So if you are a game designer and you are watching this, let me know. Do you have understanding of game theory? Because I would assume a lot of people do. I mean, Reiner Knizia is a mathematician, and you can see that when you're playing his games, you can see that he's worked it out. It's all there, and it all works. I think a lot of games designers are gamers. So whilst they might not understand game theory, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have a go in designing games. And as long as they go through a development cycle, then they should come out with something good. It all depends what kind of game you're going to be playing. If you're designing some kind of economic game, then yes, you probably need some background in game theory. But I don't think that's always the case. Right, Hilmar has clarified his previous chat. So shipments on Kickstarter are sometimes 2 to 3 times more expensive than they are in real life. It's expensive to ship to Iceland, but sometimes they are ludicrous on Kickstarter. Right, which is a shame. But yeah, I'm not sure. So that's the fact. I'm just not sure what I can do about it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not planning to do a video on that particular thing. But yeah, we can talk about it here. Shipment on Kickstarters is 2 to 3 times more expensive than the shipping actually is. Why is that? I don't know. I don't know why that is. Sometimes they get shipments by ship mail, being more than a month, and it's cheap, but you're still paying premium. Yeah, that's not right. I don't know why that is. Yeah, but it's clearly not right. You know, if you're paying extra for shipping to Iceland, but then they put it on the slow boat, that doesn't make any sense. And going back to the question of Russian designers, Johannes from Board Game Ramblings, or Sonova, says Smartphone Inc., Aquatica, Skytopia are from Russian designers. I've not played any of those, but I have heard Smartphone Inc. is really good. So, okay, so we do have some Russian designers, just not many of them. Right, okay, let's catch up now with some of the questions that I got asked earlier on. So this is a question from Andy Grant. Andy says, I've been playing solo games now for quite a while. If I could give 3 pieces of advice to designers about designing their own solo mode, what would they be? Now for me, and this was reinforced when I did the Clans of Caledonia playthrough. So every month, my Patreon supporters vote on which game they want me to do a solo playthrough of in the month. And this month, they voted on Clans of Caledonia. Now, Clans of Caledonia, I think, is a good game. I did a how to play video for it. It's generally respected as a good game. And it had a solo mode. And they voted on me playing the solo mode. I thought, I'm happy with that because it means I get to go back and revisit Clans of Caledonia, which I've never played solo, but I'd like to try it. And it turns out there are 3 different solo modes for Clans of Caledonia. There is the solo mode included in the game itself. Then there is an Automa designed by the designer himself. And then there is a fan-made Automa. And I thought, okay, well, rather than using the one included in the rulebook, I'll go with the Automa and I'll use the one designed by the designer. And I wish I hadn't, okay? I wish now I would have used the one in the rulebook. And the reason for that is not that the Automa is bad, it's just bad for me. Because what I want in a solo game is what I don't want is hugely complex AI to simulate the moves of another player. I respect the people who do that, and sure, that kind of recreates the multiplayer experience, but that AI complexity of, and I had the same with Barrage, and I had the same to some extent a little bit when I tried Teotihuacan solo, but not as much. But yeah, Clans of Caledonia solo using the designers, Automa and Barrage was like, okay, so if this, then this. If it's got this on this position, then do this. If it doesn't, go down this tree, and then on this tree, if this is at 14 or more, do this. If it's at 13 or less, do... No, I don't want that in a solo game. Some people do. So if you're a designer and you're designing your own solo mode, you need to decide what audience do you want. Do you want the solo game to be approachable, accessible, nice to play, and give people the feeling of playing the game? For example, Ora et Labora, where the solo mode, I really enjoyed that. Or do you want an Automa with AI, with complex rules that simulates another player? It all depends what you want. However, what I've also done today is I've reached out to a Mr. David Turtsey and asked him what advice has he got. So I'm just going to pull up Messenger again, and I'm going to read through David's top 3 pieces of advice for designers who want to make a solo mode, which is, first of all, have a good game, okay? So if you don't have a good game, don't bother designing a solo mode, forget it, put it away and get a good game instead. B, identify the interactive part of that good game. And C, make a predictable randomizer that averages to the same iterations as B, and then plop victory points on it until it scores roughly the same as a competent player. There you go. And that's how he makes solo modes. Easy. He does them in 5 minutes. Yeah, so there you go. There's David Turtsey's top 3 advice on making a solo mode. Why I just went to Messenger when I'd already copied and pasted it into the Google Doc, I don't know. Right, question from Rene. So this is still questions from the BGG Guild. We might be here a while tonight. I have a Frostpunk playtest at 7 o'clock and I have to eat before then. But I want to answer all the questions. Okay, question from Rene. Rene says that I've done some excellent playthroughs of Lost Ruins of Arnak. Thank you, Rene. As mentioned in the first partial playthrough, you have been able to play a prototype first at CGE headquarters. Yeah, the first version of Lost Ruins of Arnak that I played was a prototype in March 2019 that had bits of Lego. And that's when CGE, at the end of that weekend, the feedback on that game was so positive from everybody who played it that CGE signed it up and said, we're going to publish this year. And then since then, it's been in development. I wasn't a full part of the development of the game. I have been at the end. Elwyn has certainly run a number of things past me for consultation and feedback and advice. Am I working on the rulebook? No. No is the short answer. The long answer is actually quite an interesting one, because I am now a full-time professional rulebook writer and editor, as well as producing videos, okay? I started my career in the board game industry helping CGE with their rulebooks. I am now no longer involved in CGE rulebooks, which is weird. And how that came about, I mean, CGE have a very good rulebook writing team, okay? The rulebook for Lost Ruins of Arnak, I've literally been sent the latest version this afternoon using their online proofing system. And 4 or 5 years ago, I would have got that and gone, right, it's been passed to me. I am part of the team who is responsible for making sure that rulebook is good. I am on a list and I get sent versions. And 4 or 5 years ago, I would have gone, right, there you go, and I would have spent a few hours on it. However, at the moment, I don't have the time. As I mentioned earlier on, I'm working every evening, I'm working all weekends. I don't have the time to look at it. And CGE, because of their workflow processes, they don't need to tell me in advance. They can't say to me, Paul, in 3 weeks' time, the rulebook's going to be here, put some time aside to work on it with us. They have 15 people on their team who work for CGE who are going to be working on that rulebook. They don't need me involved. I'm not saying I wouldn't add value to it, but they certainly don't need me, and I just don't have the time to put into it. Yeah, so I now don't really work on CGE rulebooks, which is unusual. I'd like to, but you know, that would require them booking my time out, and they don't know when I'm going to be needed. Right. I'm going to finish the questions first, so if you can move the blue ones later on. Right, question in from Brendan. I did a demo of Pulsar 2849 for Brendan over the weekend, and he enjoyed it. Thank you very much. And his question is about demoing games. What do I enjoy the most about demoing games? And what do I dislike about demoing games? And what have been my favourite games to demo? So what do I enjoy the most about demoing games? So I love demoing games to the point where I am just as happy, if not happier, to sit with a group of friends and teach them how to play and not play myself. In fact, playing a game that I'm also teaching adds an extra level of stress. Whereas if I'm teaching, I can just focus on the teaching and then enjoy that process. So I'm lucky in a way that, you know, I really enjoy demoing games to people. I really enjoy teaching people how to play games. What would I say is my favourite part of it? I don't know, actually. I just enjoy teaching people how to play games. Yeah, if we ever get a chance at some point in the future, we can sit down and have a chat, and I can try and analyse this a bit more, because there's probably particular parts that I like about it. Yeah, what do I dislike about demoing games? What do I dislike about demoing games? I mean, as long as I know the game, then there isn't much I dislike about demoing games apart from sometimes the other people. You know, when you're demoing a game to somebody and they're on the phone or they're not listening, or you say, if you put this marker on this space here, you get 2 points. And then somebody says, what happens if I put my marker on that space there? You get 2 points. In other words, people who just aren't listening to what you're saying and then ask exactly the question that you've just answered. Other people can be a problem, but thankfully they're quite rare. The other thing that makes, and I've had this before, is the other people who are at the table, because quite often you do a demo at a convention and the people at the table don't know each other. And sometimes there's a bit of a personality clash. And I've experienced this both at UK conventions and in Germany and also in America, where clearly two of the people at the same table have, and it's been quite difficult. I'm not good at handling conflict between other people. I just sort of want to step away from it. So yeah, in terms of bad experiences at demoing games, that's one of them. What have been my favourite games to demo? I mean, most of them. The thing is, there are games that I have been paid to demo for companies at conventions, which I haven't particularly enjoyed. Okay, I have demoed games before for games which I didn't think were good games, but I have still enjoyed demoing them. It all depends. You know, there are some games that I didn't like so much, but I still really enjoyed demoing because other people enjoyed the demos, and when I actually explain it to people, people are, oh, this is really cool, and really enjoy it. So that's good. I enjoy the process of demoing. And there's other games that I think are absolutely awful. And to be honest, now, I probably wouldn't ever demo those games now. But I still sort of enjoyed the process of teaching people how to play. I just didn't get much personal satisfaction. I mean, recently, so Pulsar 2849, I've demoed that over 100 times, I think. Yeah, just love demoing that game. Through the Ages, I really like demoing Through the Ages. Letter Jam, I just love demoing Letter Jam to people. It's such a good game, and it's, yeah, really good. One of the, and I'll be a little bit big-headed here. One of the reasons why I really enjoy demoing Through the Ages is that I came up with my demo method for teaching people how to play games, and one of the games that I came up with that method for was Through the Ages. And when CGE released the new version of Through the Ages at Essen, I said, are we going to be running any demos? And they said, no, we're not going to be running any demos of Through the Ages at Essen because it's not possible to demo this game properly in a convention environment. And I went, challenge accepted. And I said to them, give me one table. Just give me one table at the front of your demo area, and I will demo Through the Ages the entire weekend. Okay? And they were like, oh, go on then, because it's you. And what I did is I used my demo method. Okay? So in an hour and a half, it was like an hour and a half to 2 hour demo slots. And I got people playing within a minute. Okay? Within 1 minute, people were playing the game. And an hour and a half later, they'd had a demo. But they'd had a demo by playing the game and seeing how it plays out with my interactive drip feed method of teaching people how to play games. And for Through the Ages, it's absolutely perfect, if I say so myself, because you don't want to listen to a 45-minute rules explanation of any game at any convention, certainly not a game that you're then going to play for an hour, and you're not going to sit down and play a full game of Through the Ages at a convention. That's just crazy. So the demo method worked really well. It works well for Through the Ages. And I had Vlada Shavatel come over to me that weekend and sit and watch me. He'd not seen my demo method before. He'd heard about it and he'd heard me talking about it, but he'd never seen it actually being done. And on one of my demos, he came over and he sat next to me and he watched the demo, and he stayed there for about half an hour, and he saw, and I was quite nervous, and he saw how I did the demo. And then afterwards, he said to me that he has never seen anybody teach Through the Ages better than that. And what's really rewarding for me is he still says that now. So I remember 2 years after that, we were at Gen Con. I was sitting down and I was teaching people how to play Through the Ages. Vlada was there. Vlada came up, he sat at the table, he introduced himself to the other people at the table, and he then said, enjoy this demo. And he said, there is nobody better at teaching this game than me. And it was like, yeah, wow. So I like demoing Through the Ages because I know I'm good at it. There you go. Right. Darren says, he's got a rules writing question. Would you think it's appropriate to omit the words victory points or point or VP or points from your rulebook and instead say, such and such action adds 2 to your score? It feels weird to say the number of patients you save gives you 3 points, and instead, each patient you save adds 3 to your score. So personally, I don't like that wording. I use points. It's an abstract term. And yeah, I use points or victory points or whatever. And I would always choose to use that. So I would say each patient you save is worth 3 points. That or scores you 3 points. I wouldn't say adds 3 to your score. I would always mention the word point. Right, only a few questions left from the BGG Guild. And this is from Nick. If I had 3 time travel tokens that I could go back in time to any point, where would I go and why? And this is an interesting question, because if you mean could I travel back in time and change something, then we will have this discussion after I've had a few drinks, because all of the times that I would go back to and change are dark times from my past where I did something wrong, and I'm not going to talk about them in a live Q&A. If you mean just going back in time to a point in history for me to go back to, then that is a really good question, and I'd have to think about it. I mean, clearly, despite the stuff that's going on in the world right now, I think we live in a better time in terms of health and technology and things like that. You know, one of the times that I feel I would like to go back to is Victorian London, because of like Sherlock Holmes and stuff like that. But would I really want to go back to that time? You know, it's quite dark and gritty, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, I don't know. You know, I like the modern features that we have, and I don't really want to go back to that. Ancient Egypt, would it be cool to go back to ancient Egypt? Yes, it would absolutely be cool to go back. So if I could go back and just visit there and see what it's like, and then come back forward again, then I'd definitely like to go back to that. I mean, there's a lot of parts of human history. Japanese culture, Japanese history, places like that. Would I want to go back and see all of that stuff? Yeah, definitely big parts in history that sort of shaped the world. Yeah, I'd like to go back to them. Laszlo says, in many of my reviews and how to play videos, I have the box sat right next to me. I've never once knocked it over, not once. So if you mean, because in the past, my old how to play videos, I actually had the box digitally up on the wall. So of course I never knocked that over, but you're right, in the modern how to plays and the modern reviews, I have the box next to me. It doesn't fall over because I normally weight it down. So I normally have the box lid, and I normally put some weights on the inside because I don't even want it wobbling. But yeah, how do I never knock it down? I don't know. I think I just... The thing is, if I did knock it down, I'd edit it out so that you wouldn't see it. But no, I don't think I have ever knocked it down. Paul Snuggs says, apart from Mage Knight, what is your favourite board game to play solo? So I am a solo gamer. I'm a solo gamer secondary to being a multiplayer gamer. And I wouldn't have said Mage Knight is my favourite game to play solo, because I still think Mage Knight is best played with 2 or 3 people. I don't know whether I have a favourite board game to play solo. I'd need to think about it. What I'm going to do very quickly is I am going to look through... I'm getting really hungry. I'm going to look through all of the games which I've played in the last 6 months very quickly. And I'm going to tell you which ones of them I've played solo. So Expedition to Newdale, I've played that solo. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Cloudspire, I've played that solo and I've enjoyed that. Under Falling Skies, I've played that solo. I've enjoyed that. Arkham Horror the card game, I think I played that solo once, but with 2 investigators. Again, much prefer that multiplayer. Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective technically could be played solo, but I never would because I'm not intelligent enough. Vindication I've played solo. I don't think the solo mode for that. Certainly the scenario I played wasn't good. Euthea, Torment of Resurrection, I've played that a couple of times solo. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Again, you play 2 characters. Marvel Champions can be played solo, but again, I much prefer it 2 players. Nusfjord, I've played that solo. Okay. Nemo's War, that is really only a solo game. Tricerion, Legends of Illusion, I didn't get on with that solo because my brain exploded. Perseverance, I've played that solo. Black Angel, I've played that solo. Bonfire plays solo, but I've not played it solo. Oof. Feast for Odin, I've played that solo. Isle of Cats, I've not played solo yet. Lost Ruins of Arnak, played solo. Ming Voyages, I've played solo. Aura et Labora, I've played... Okay, so a lot of these games I'm looking at, I have played solo. Right, out of these, which ones are my favourites? I don't know. Okay, this is a long list. I shouldn't have gone back 6 months. I'm just going to pick a few out. Yeah, Mage Knight is a good game solo. It's a good challenge, and obviously the playtime can be quite long, so you can set it up, leave it, come back to it later. But again, I still prefer it 2-player. High Rise I've not played solo yet, but I want to. Crown of Amara. Is there a solo mode for Crown of Amara? I think there is. Not played that enough. Aura et Labora, definitely liked that solo. Nussfjord, I liked that solo as well. I mean, Nussfjord was so quick. You can play it in like 20 minutes. Feast for Odin solo. So that's Uwe Rosenberg. Yeah, Nussfjord, Aura et Labora, Feast for Odin. Like all of them solo. They're all Uwe Rosenberg. Cloudspire I really like solo because that is a real challenge. That's a puzzle. Yeah, so Cloudspire solo. Yeah, I mean, Cloudspire is one of my favourite games. So, yeah. Spirit Island as well, but no. Nah, I prefer Spirit Island with 2 people. I need somebody else to bounce ideas off. So it's probably the Uwe Rosenberg games and probably Cloudspire as well, as for my favourite solo games at the moment. Right, okay. Back to... So that's the end of all of the questions from the guild. So as I mentioned at the start, guild number 2258 on Board Game Geek. Vicky will post a link in the chat now. And later on today or tomorrow, I will post a thread to say, what are your questions for October? And you can start asking me those questions once the thread goes live. If you are subscribed to the guild, then you will get a notification, and then you go on there and you can ask me questions. So if you've got any question for me between now and the next Q&A, you can go onto the guild, put it into that thread, and then this time next month, I will go to the thread and I will answer the questions. Right, let's go back to some more live questions. Down at the bottom, live questions. Icarus Must Burn. What do you think of an app AI for solo modes that eliminate all complexity for the player and tells you exactly what to move? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that would be great, right? Now, the Clans of Caledonia one that I played last week, I used a website to tell me what to do, but it only half told me what to do. If the app was really clever and it literally said, input your board configuration here, and then the app somehow knew where I put pieces, and then the app just instantly worked out, I would absolutely play that. It's like, at that point, we've got an app. It's like playing Through the Ages on the app against an AI player, where the AI does it. Can you imagine AI Through the Ages with a really, really complex set of algorithms that you had to manually do that helped you decide which card it took? All right? No, yeah, it might exist, but I don't want to do that. I want the app to do it. So you're right, absolutely right. If Clans of Caledonia existed as an app and that Automa AI was coded into the app that I could just play it and there was another player doing the stuff, yeah, I would absolutely play that. I just don't want to do it manually myself. A question in on Facebook from the Gaming Rules post. Thank you for spotting that. What is my favourite fridge magnet? That's a great question. Right. Well, no, because that would be your favourite fridge magnet. Okay, Vicky's going to go downstairs and bring up the fridge magnets, and I'll tell you what my favourite one is. Great question. Really good. Right, Neil, speaking of demos, your tutorial and playthrough videos for Under Falling Skies got you really excited. Any idea when it will be available? Yes. October. They haven't said when in October, but considering tomorrow is the 1st of October, I think nearer the end of October. The files have gone to print. I can tell you that now. The files have all gone to print because I've seen the stuff coming off the factory, and CGE will be producing it. If you want to order it, you can order it directly from CGE right now. I think it's castletricon.com/CGE pre-orders, something like that. But anyway, yeah, it should be available in October, certainly in Europe and the UK, I think. Queso Blanco, do I like jalapeno peppers? Yes. but I'm not somebody who can sit there and eat the jalapeno peppers, okay? So I do like having jalapeno peppers in something, on a pizza or something like that for an extra little bit of kick, but I cannot just sit there and eat them. Right, answers about house questions. Oh, the house questions from earlier on. Claire says you could build a house out of hive pieces. Ah, yeah. So here's me thinking you could build a house out of the actual box. Claire's gone one step further. Buy 1 million copies of Hive and use the pieces, because they're like hexagonal plastic, marble pieces, whatever they are. Yeah, build the house out of those. And Richard says, too many bones, plenty of building materials. Yeah, I'm thinking specifically the chips and the neoprene mats and everything else. Right. Now let's go to the Facebook group. So I mentioned earlier on, I'm now, I used to be active on another Facebook group, but things didn't work out there. So the Facebook group which I'm on primarily is Board Game Revolution. And what I've done is I've posted on there today and said, if you've got any questions for me, let me know. This is primarily for the people who can't watch this live. So I'm going to answer their questions now. But before that, we have fridge magnets. So what have we got? So we have a jigsaw. Where did this come from? It's a jigsaw of some sheep living on hire purchases. Right, okay. These are yours. A balanced diet is a chocolate in each hand. And if you want the best seat in the house, you'll have to move the cat. I didn't even know we had this. Okay. We have some chocolatey ones, which are quite cool. You know which one I'm going to pick. We have this one, which is actually, you can play a game of Connect 4 on the fridge, which is quite cool. We have this one, which is a little cute cat picture that I printed off the internet. So I'm going to say my favourite one is this one. Right, now is this going to show up on camera? There you go. It's this one, right? Now the reason why I'm going to say this is my favourite one is this is a fridge magnet that you get, and it's obviously got some random photo of 2 people in it that you are supposed to replace with your own photo. We've had this over 10 years and we have never replaced the photo that's in it. So I've never really thought about this, but people come round our house and they look at our fridge and they go, well, Vicky looks different. And Paul's, yeah, and they must look at this picture and think, who the hell are these 2 people? So this is it. This is a standard stock photo that we've never changed. There you go. So that I'm going to say that's my favourite one, just because it's silly. Yeah, there we go. Right. Right. Okay. So Mohammed says, how am I able to take the jobs hat off and enjoy a game? This is a really good question, and I do actually get asked this quite regularly because, you know, I work full-time in the board game industry. I have done now for 6 years. And as I mentioned, at the moment, my work is so intense. At those times when I take off the work hat, can I just play a game? And I'm pleased to say that I can. Okay, now the work hat never comes off. So last week, we did a live, we did 2 live streams. Nick and Gemma came over and we did a live stream where we learned how to play Pendulum from the rulebook, and then we played it. Now that was not a sponsored video. My work hat was off. It was purely a live stream where we're going to learn how to play a game and play it for fun. Okay, there was no money involved in it whatsoever. We just did it. But my work hat is never completely off. So as I'm reading through that rulebook, I'm like, I wouldn't have put this here. There was one part in the rulebook that was, in my opinion, definitely wrong, because it tells you to take all of the cards for your player on the page before you've chosen what player colour you are. And you were like, what? Cards? What cards? This makes no sense. And then on the next page, it's each player chooses a character. Ah, right. So that's a no. So yeah, my work hat is never off. I'm always looking at it. And I'm always, even on games which I wasn't involved in, I'm looking at the graphic design and going, that would, yeah, that's that. Or, you know, if it's good, I'm like, oh, that's really good graphic design. That's really clear. So yeah, the work hat is never off. But am I able to take it off enough that I can just play a game? Absolutely. And I think this is where I'm quite lucky, because when the hobby becomes work, you always start thinking, Is it going to be a problem? Last night we played Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Okay, it wasn't work, but I recorded it, and today I have released my first time-lapse video of Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. If you're interested in seeing a 5-minute time-lapse video of me and Vicky playing through scenario 1 of Jaws of the Lion, that's on the channel right now. So although it wasn't work, I was aware that it was being recorded. And it's the same with the live plays last week. It wasn't work, but they were being live streamed. So I've still got to be on my best behavior. I've still got to be conscious of the stream and everything like that. But yeah, I still enjoy them. This is another question from Mohammed. What are my favorite mechanisms and genres in board games? I like a lot of mechanisms. Resource conversion, I absolutely love. And this is probably because I like computer games such as the Anno series of computer games where, oh, I'm going to build a woodcutter. The woodcutter's over there gathering wood. Right, then what do? We move that wood here into the carpenter, and the carpenter turns that wood into planks. Then what do? Well, we've got the guy off there down at the quarry. He's collecting stone. Then we've got this guy that turns stone into bricks. And then if we use the bricks and the wood together, we can then build this building. What does this building do? Well, this converts grain in. Oh, I love that, right? Love those games. So any game that has resource conversion, I like, with a caveat. Ora et Labora, I really liked that because it was thematic. You were actually converting things that made sense. Grain or hops turns into beer. You know, peat turns into peat coal. It makes sense. I can feel an association with that. On the other end of the scale, I remember playing a game called Asking for Troubles. I hated it, right? It was the most boring, apologies if you're the designer or you really like it, but I didn't like the game. Visually it looked nice, but the game itself was nothing new, nothing interesting, and completely boring. It was put a worker on there and get 3 of these things, then go here and get 2 of these things, then go here and convert 2 of those things and these things into that one, then go here and spend that one and get points. Now, you could say Ora et Labora is exactly the same, but it wasn't. For me, they were just random abstract things that didn't mean anything and were just literally put this together and this together to get points. Same with Scoville. I really didn't like that. So yeah, so I like resource conversion. I love worker placement games, all types of worker placement games, whether it be 1 worker per space or you pay extra if there's somebody else there or whatever. I like deck building, but I want my deck building to do something. I mean, I liked Dominion when it came out because it was deck building and it was new and it was exciting. Now I want deck building to be a part of another game. And I want there to be a game such as A Few Acres of Snow, Mage Knight, where deck building is just a part of a bigger game. Yeah, they're some of my favourite mechanisms. Vicky's going to start putting... Oh, that's in red. I don't read it. Okay. Right, next question. So this is also a question from somebody on Board Game Revolution. This is A. Gerald Fitz. How many years did it take to start earning a living from my channel? And what was the initial struggle? So it depends on your definition of making a living, because what I did with my channel is I started gaming rules when I still had a full-time job. So I was still an IT manager at the university when I started gaming rules because I wanted to start creating videos. It was just something that I intended to do in my spare time as a hobby on the side, and I never intended it to become a full-time job. Of course, if it did, and I could leave the work at the university and create videos full-time, and it actually paid, then great. But at the time, when I was doing it, the rate that I was charging, let me just say, without going into details, you would have probably got more per hour for stacking shelves at a supermarket than I got for creating my videos when I first started. Now, that was down to the fact that nobody knew who I was. I cannot go to publishers and say, hello, you don't know me, but I'm a board gamer and I want to start doing videos for your games and it's going to cost you £1,500. No, right? They're not going to take me seriously. So what I had to do, or I felt I had to do, is I had to come in with a really low price for them to even be interested. Which means some said no, and some of them said, oh yeah, go on. Yeah, we'll pay you a few £100 if you want to make a video. And then that video took me 50 hours to make, okay? Because I was learning, I was just getting started, I didn't know what I was doing and everything else. So when you say define making a living out of it, there's certainly no way I could have made a living out of it really back then. And when my personal life got turned upside down and my job started falling apart, and I decided that I was going to leave the full-time job and go and actually do gaming rules full-time, it was a risk. It was a big risk because it might not have worked. But thankfully, the way things have gone are totally unexpected. And over the years, I have now upped my rates, and people have said the hourly rate I'm now on is still low for what I do, considering the reputation that I now have. But I'm happy with my hourly rate where it is. So I'm now making a living from it. So it didn't actually take me that long to make a living from it, depending on your definition of making a living. Thankfully, Vicky's got a well-paid full-time job. So if things didn't work out, then we could have easily fallen back on that. But yeah, it's worked out okay. Right. Next question. When you are reading a rule book to edit it, this is from A. Gerald Fitz as well. How do you find sentences that others, but not you, might misunderstand? Do you role play a newbie gamer or something like that? Oh, we got a cat. Yeah, what I do when I'm reading a rule book is I try to be stupid, okay? Which isn't that difficult for me sometimes, but I read a rule book and I try to picture the fact that I'm playing this game for the first time. One of the services that I offer to publishers is you've done your game, you've finished it, you've written the rule book, the game is finished. You want me to test the rule book, so that you send me the game, send me the rule book, and I do a private live stream for them where I try to learn how to play the game from the rule book. And sometimes that goes well, and sometimes it does not go well. Sometimes that game is literally unplayable from the rule book, and that puts me in an uncomfortable situation because the designer is saying the rule book's fine, nobody else had a problem with it, and I'm there and I can't even get through the setup because the setup is missing key steps. And they're saying, well, it's obvious. You just shuffle the cards and put... Well, no, if nothing tells me to do that. And then we skip past setup and we get to the next bit. Anyway, so yeah, I try to be stupid. When I'm working on a rule book, I try to picture it as somebody has bought that game, taken it home, opened the rule book, doesn't know anything about it, and the rule book, page 1 of the rule book, should be introducing them to the game. Hopefully that's okay. Christine says, what are your favourite Euro games to play at 2-player? So not 2-player specific ones, but ones that scale well to all player counts and play just as well at 2 as well as 4. So 2-player games is interesting because, you know, I've got a lot of 2-player games now. And if I'm ever in the position to play where just one other person is coming round, I would generally lean towards playing one of those 2-player games only. Okay? So for example, if I had, what's the game? Fields of Arle? Uwe Rosenberg, 2-player game? Fields of Arle? I think it is. Anyway, the Uwe Rosenberg 2-player game, which I don't have. So if somebody came round and said, oh, I really fancy playing an Uwe Rosenberg game, and there's 2 of us, I would play that one, in preference to playing Caverna or any of the others. Do I think Caverna is good at 2-player? Maybe not Caverna. Feast for Odin, do I think Feast for Odin is good at 2-player? Yes. But I would always lean towards a 2-player game only if there was 2 of us. But if you're talking about games that are not just for 2, things that, and I haven't played that many of them, but Trajan, if we could refer back to earlier when I said I don't think Castles of Burgundy scales well at 2, Trajan does. I have played Trajan at 2-player and I think it's good at 2-player. So I've played Trajan at 2, 3 and 4 and that's good. I remember I've played a few games of, back in the olden days when people were able to come around to the house, with Paul Luxton. We've played a number of 2-player games of Vignos, and of Lisboa. And they were really good as well. And again, that's a game which I've played at 2, 3 and 4 player, and they worked fine at 2 player. If you have any other examples in the chat of Euro games that are 2 to 4 players that work just as well with 2 as 4, put them in the chat and let Christine know. Stuart wants to know, have I played Castles of Tuscany yet? Nope, haven't played that. Again, that's on the publisher hasn't sent me a copy. I haven't asked for a copy. I want to get through the 65 unplayed games that I've got first before going on to new ones. Thomas wants to know what my favourite Vladisha Battle game is. 2 of my top 5 games of all time are Mage Knight and Through the Ages, both of which are Vladisha Battle. It's very difficult for me to decide between the 2 of them. One day I would say Mage Knight, the next day I'd say Through the Ages. I would probably lean towards Mage Knight, even though I play Through the Ages a lot more because of the app. So yeah, Mage Knight is my number 1 game of all time, therefore it's my number 1 Vladisha Battle game. Luke O'Rafferty says, what do I think of Red Alert these days? Do I ever get to play? So Red Alert is it's down there. It's the Richard Borg game from PSC. Lots and lots of plastic miniatures, and I have spent 150 hours and some more painting all of the miniatures. And I already know, so the thing is, my honest opinion of the game is it's okay, but I don't think it's that good. So why am I spending 150, 200 hours painting the miniatures of a game for a game which I don't think is that good? Let me touch on why I don't think the game is that good. I've played the game a couple of times and it's okay, but the game is an evolution of the Command and Colours system, which has been used in multiple games before, Memoir 44, Battle Law, Command and Colours, and Red Alert is the space version of it. When I got Red Alert, and it has the nice spaceships and everything else, and I half like the system. There's parts of the system that I do like, but I thought about, and I thought, oh, spaceships, oh, I'll get this. This is the one that I'll get into, and this is the one that I'll play. But when I read all of the forums about Red Alert, Space Fleet Warfare, even fans of the system say that it's the weakest one in the series, and that Memoir 44 is the best, or Battle Law is the best, or Command and Colours is the best. I don't know anybody who thinks that Red Alert is the best implementation of the system. So it's like, okay, well, I've got the game. It's okay. I should play it more. It's very random. Very, very random. Okay. And I have played it a couple of times, but putting all of those ships on the plastic stands to set the game up, it took us 15 to 20 minutes just to set it up. Now, you could store the ships away in their bases already, but they take up a lot of space and they'd get broke. So I have the ships in a special storage container, and it takes about 20 minutes to take them all out, put them on the plastic stands. It takes ages to set them up, absolutely ages. And then the game itself, it's lots of dice rolling. It is tactical in a way, but it's lots of dice rolling. And whereas Battle Law, which I've also painted all of the miniatures for, Battle Law uses the same system, but it has like this objective-based point system where you have to achieve objectives and you have to hold the bridge, or you have to capture a village or anything else. Red Alert is just blowing up the other ships. From the ones that I've seen, from the scenarios I've seen, it's just blowing up the other ships. And I kind of want more in a war game than just blow up the opponent. That's very old school. Saying that, I want to play it more. And I'll tell you what, 5 months ago, I had a discussion with Alan Paul from Surprise Stare Games, who likes the game and knows the game, and we've agreed to play the game remotely. Okay, this was the plan. I just haven't got around to it yet. First of all, time. I haven't got enough time to do it, but I even spoke to Alan a couple of weeks ago and said, look, I still want to do that Red Alert game with you, and we're planning it for January. So, sneak preview, one of the things that I'm planning to do in January is take an afternoon off and play Red Alert with Alan, and I'm going to live stream it. And Alan won't be coming here to play it. We will be doing it remotely. One of the disadvantages is the board for Red Alert is too big. It's a 4 foot wide board. My game topper is only 3.5 foot. I actually can't fit it on this table. And it's another downside of Red Alert, is that it's just too big. Okay, the miniatures could have been made half the size that they are. It would have been cheaper. It wouldn't have looked any less impressive. Then the game could have been made smaller. And yeah, the whole thing just could have been made smaller. So why have I spent all of that time painting miniatures for a game that I don't think I'm going to enjoy? Is I need a project to take my mind off work. And it was at a point where my work was getting a bit out of control. And the fact that I have a project to paint means I go downstairs. It's a forced break. It's time off work. It's time away from work. It's time in front of the TV. We catch up on TV and we paint. So me painting miniatures is a kind of therapy to get away from work. I've still got some more to paint, but I have now painted enough to be able to play the starting scenarios. Anyway, moving on. Richard Lance says, any thoughts on what you think the next trend in board gaming will be it mechanics, theme, technology, etc.? And another question came in as well from Juraj, if that's how you pronounce your name. Apologies if I got it wrong. And he's got the same question about near future board gaming, because he's saying in the last years, roll and write has had a massive explosion on the market. And now there are too many roll and writes, flip and writes, whatever. Do I see any style mechanic which started to flood the market, or what will be the next massive hit? And if I knew that, I would be designing it. Because over the years, you know, we had Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering came out, and then all of a sudden, there were CCGs everywhere. Everybody was making CCGs, and 90% of the CCGs that came out straight after Magic were awful, because they were just, you know, monopolizing it, and they were just terrible. Some of them were really good, but some of them were awful. Then Dominion came out, and all of a sudden deck building was the thing. And then deck building, everything was deck building. And now, as you say, roll and write. Everything is roll and write this, flip and write this. It's not a problem. You know, I quite like it, but I have no idea what the next one will be. Will it be technology? One thing that surprised me is I know when a couple of games came out that were implementing technology in the games, I thought that was the start of something big. And it wasn't. We've still only got a few. There's only a few games out there which actually have technology in them. What are you doing? Oh, the laptop's about to run out of power. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. Next one is from Paul Taylor. Any love about Dungeon Universalis? Nope. I'm going to look it up on BGG because I've not heard of it. Let me just look that up now. Dungeon Universalis. A classic dungeon crawler board game. 2019. Average rating. Where's the average rating? Oh, weight 4.1. Wow, that's complex. 9.2 is the average rating. Okay, so I don't know anything about this. Who's the publisher? Ludic Dragon Games. Okay, so not heard of the designer, not heard of any of the artists, not heard of the publisher, not heard about this game at all. But it looks like it's a complex dungeon crawler for 1 to 6 players. And I'm just flipping through some of the... Oh, that looks nice. Okay. Right. I'll have a look at this. Yeah, it might be another one that gets added to my list of games that I'm not going to get around to playing. So yeah, I don't know much about it. Apparently it could do with my translation skills from what I've heard about the rulebook. Okay, so... yeah, so apparently the rulebook's not good, which means for me that's an instant turn off. And I don't translate rulebooks from one language into another, but a game that has a bad rulebook, 10 or 15 years ago, if a game came out that I was interested in that had a bad rulebook, I would be tempted to start putting my time and effort, because I'm very obsessive and I'm very focused, and I'd go, right, that's another project for me to do. I'm going to get this game with a terrible rulebook, and I'm going to learn it, and I'm going to rewrite the rulebook, and I'm going to create the FAQ, and I'm going to... Right, I don't bother doing that anymore because life's too short. Now, I see a game like that, and I was the same with certain other games that have come out, and if people are saying the rulebook's terrible, it's just a hard pass because I don't have the time. Why should we, as people who've spent our money on buying a game, why should we have to spend our time having to do all of that extra effort to learn how to play the game? That's the job of the publisher. Right, question in from Rick. How strong do you believe that rose-tinted spectacles to be for board games? Specifically, the recent HeroQuest reboot. So this is a good question, and my notes here are don't get me started, because HeroQuest, I played HeroQuest when it came out, and I have fond memories of HeroQuest. I was very young. We played D&D, and HeroQuest was a board game where we get to move a figure around a board, fight monsters, and it was cool, and we loved it, and played it for ages. But then again, when I was 12, I played Talisman for ages, every weekend. And now, Talisman for me is a classic example of a terrible game. Very, very random, low actual meaningful player decisions, and it's just out of your control. You just randomly do stuff and random stuff happens. As part of my live streaming during lockdown a couple of months ago, we decided to play HeroQuest. There's a really good mod on Tabletop Simulator. Rick was the Overlord Zargon, and a few people joined in, and it was awful. It was absolutely awful. Now I was fully expecting going in that I knew it was roll and move, and I knew it was roll for combat, and I went into it accepting that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to enjoy this game for nostalgia reasons. I know I'm not really going to enjoy the game, but it's still going to be a bit of fun. And it was fun doing the live stream because of the other people in the chat, but playing the game was a really bad experience. Not just, I mean, the roll and move was just silly. It was just roll 2 dice and move that many spaces, right? No mitigation, no spending stamina to move it. Just, you have no control. So if the monster's 5 away and you roll and you get a 3, 1, 2, 3, turns over. That's it. No compensation, no mitigation, no nothing. And then the combat was just, we were there for about 20 minutes. Roll some dice, roll some shields. Next, you roll some dice, roll some shields. Next, roll some dice, your turn. It was just painfully slow. It just went on and on and on. And the design of the map was such that all 4 characters were melee. Or no, one of them was ranged, but you can't shoot through other people. And a lot of the corridors were 1 space wide. So we were in a position where you had the character here, the monster here, that character was attacking the monster. The other 3 players could do nothing. They couldn't attack through. So we just started wandering around ourselves. It was just so badly designed. And I was surprised. It surprised me how bad it was, considering how much we all played it a long, long time ago. And yeah, it was pretty terrible. Back to the question, the HeroQuest is having a reboot. And it's having a new update, but it's the same game. They're not changing anything about the game. So how strong do I believe rose-tinted spectacles are? I think a lot of people are going to buy that game for nostalgia reasons. And sure, I'm being a bit of a... I'm getting on my high horse about how bad it is. And I'm being a bit looking down upon it. But superior? Snob? Yeah, I'm being a bit of a gaming snob, saying that it's a terrible game, but that's my honest opinion of a game where I was completely disengaged from the gameplay. I felt that we weren't in control of anything. It was just not good. But that Kickstarter is going to do loads. They're going to make millions because people are going to rush out. They're going to buy it because of nostalgia reasons. How many people are actually going to play it? I don't know. Now, I have been told Blackstone Fortress and Warhammer Silver Tower are the games that I should be looking at. They are the modern versions of what HeroQuest not should have been, because HeroQuest served a purpose. I firmly believe that no matter how bad I think HeroQuest is now, I think it was of its time, and without HeroQuest, we wouldn't have had Gloomhaven. Possibly. Discuss. Anyway, we're going to finish off with some live questions, and then I need to go and get some food because I've got 15 minutes before a live playtest of Frostpunk. Okay, you haven't answered these and you should mention the contest again. Yes, contest. Vicky's going to post a link. Click on that link. It goes to a Google form. Put in your name, your email address, whether you're a patron supporter, and the phrase is Aston Martin. Put that and you could win £25 worth of vouchers. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well, because it is the last day of the month, my Patreon campaign. Okay, so my Patreon campaign makes these videos possible. A lot of the videos that I create on my channel are paid for. In fact, okay, some of the videos that I create are paid for. Lots of the videos that I put on my channel are not paid for. They are purely funded through the Patreon campaign. My Patreon campaign this month has seen a big downturn. Obviously, there's problems at the moment, and a lot of people are leaving because they're in a financial difficulty, which is fine. But what I want to say is that a lot of the work that I do is purely funded through the Patreon channel. And if you enjoy the content that I make and you are able to support me on Patreon, even just a small amount, that would make a difference to me, certainly at the moment. But every month I do a contest for the Patreon. So there's 3 contests that I'm running at the moment. I know it's going to get confusing. There's this one with the Google form where you put Aston Martin, you win £25 worth of games vouchers from Games Law. There's the Bonfire one. Go and watch the Bonfire video. Okay, you can win a copy of Bonfire. That contest closes Sunday, I think. But every month I do a giveaway, and it's tied in with the Patreon campaign. One of my supporters at producer level, so if you are a supporter at producer level or higher, by the end of today, where is it? You will win Season 1, Episode 1, The Detective Society. This is a puzzle. It's not really an escape room style game, but if you like escape room games and puzzle games, this is The Detective Society. Season 1 is 6 episodes. This is Episode 1, okay? And basically, to win a copy, you just need to be a patron supporter of mine. So if you are a patron supporter of mine at producer level or higher, you don't need to do anything. You automatically get entered into the contest. If you are not a patron supporter of mine and you're watching this video and thinking, I tell you what, yeah, I'm going to support Paul. If you support me today, by the end of today, you will get entered into the contest. And I've actually just lied because I just said one of my patron supporters at producer level or higher is going to win a copy of this. That's not true. It's 5. Okay, the Detective Society have given me 5 copies of this game. 5 people are going to win it. So I will be doing the draw probably tomorrow morning. But the cutoff is today. You have to be a patron supporter of mine by the end of today. And if you are, you automatically get entered. 5 people will win a copy of the Detective Society. There we go. Right. Under Falling Skies, we've answered that one. We like that one. If you were going to produce a film based on a board game, what game would you choose? Ooh. This is interesting because I normally get asked the other way around. I normally say, what IP would make a good board game? This is the other way around. If I was going to produce a film based on a board game, what would it be? Gloomhaven? Is that the easy answer? Oh, Tainted Grail. Tainted Grail. I mean, yeah, Tainted Grail, Gloomhaven, cooperative, fantasy-ish, story-driven, but the narrative in Tainted Grail and the setting of Tainted Grail, well, it's gripped me, absolutely gripped me. I can't go into details without giving spoilers, but if you have played Tainted Grail and you know the setting of Tainted Grail, the atmosphere that comes from the game, wow, yeah, absolutely. So I would love to see a film or TV series, not just in the Tainted Grail setting, but if you've played through the Tainted Grail campaign and you know the story and you know how it ends, wow, yeah. Paolo says, what is my favourite Lacerda game? I can't answer that because I don't know, because it keeps changing. Yeah, I don't know. It's either Kanban, EV, Lisboa, Vignos, or On Mars. It's one of those 4, and I'm not sure which. I don't know. Chris Happen is here in the chat, or was here. Thank you for joining in. What game or games have surprised you the most in the last year in terms of you enjoying them more than you thought you would at first glance? Well, I can tell you now, Pendulum last Friday, based on everything that everybody has been saying about Pendulum, well, not everybody, there's a couple of people that like it, but based on the general consensus of Pendulum, I was expecting not to enjoy it, and I enjoyed it. So that one I definitely did enjoy more than expected. In terms of the last year, wow, I can't say the last year because I've played a lot of games in the last year. But I'm just going to look through the last 6 months. Well, I can say just one. I mean, just one's quite old now, a couple of years old. But when I got explained what just one was, I was like, what? That sounds rubbish. And then I played it and I was like, this is amazing. So yeah, just one. Yeah. Arkham Horror, the card game, did I enjoy that more than I expected? No, I expected to enjoy that, and I did. Vindication, I enjoyed Vindication more than I expected, and I first played that, was that January of this year? I think it was January of this year. So yeah, Vindication, I enjoyed that more than I expected. Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, I enjoyed that more than, that's a bit of a, yeah, I think I did. I'm just looking through the list now. Black Angel I enjoyed more than expected, because I think that's another game where the general consensus was it's not very good, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm not going to mention the games on this list that I think were awful. Games that I enjoyed that I wasn't expecting to enjoy. The other game I did a couple of weeks ago, Tellstones, The King's Gambit, the new game from Riot Games. I didn't think I was going to enjoy that like at all, because it has a memory element. But I enjoyed it, possibly because I was just playing with Rick and it was a quick game. You know, if that was a 3-hour game, I would have said no. I'm still going through the list. Australia from Martin Wallace. I on paper, I should not like Australia. But I did. And I would happily play it again. So yeah, Australia I enjoyed more than I thought. The Crew, Quest for Planet 9 that we played last Friday. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to like that as much as I did, because I thought it was going to be more like The Mind, and it actually wasn't for me. What else have we got here? Oh, Hero Quest is on the list. Nope. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I'm looking through this list, and there's a lot of good games on this list, but I am specifically telling you the ones which I enjoyed more than I expected to. Right, Emre says, Halaratu, new game from Rosenberg, on my channel / radar. Absolutely 100% on my radar. I need to drop the publisher a line. Yeah, I need to. I haven't sent any emails to publishers. I know other content creators have been doing it now for a month or 2 months. I haven't had time. But when I eventually get round to writing to publishers and saying, hello, I'm Paul Grogan, I have a YouTube channel, I'd like to have a review copy of your game so I can cover it on the channel. That is 100% on that list. It's the new Uwe Rosenberg game, and I am all over that one. Ben from Dicey Exploits, have there been any games you've played with stories or narratives you've been impressed by? Tainted Grail. I could talk all night about Tainted Grail. I'm not going to, but if you want me to talk about it at some point in future, I mean, I've talked about it on my video log. Go to some of my recent video logs and hear me talk about Tainted Grail. I usually cover it at the start, but the narrative in Tainted Grail, I've been impressed by 2 things. The setting, the actual setting itself is so cool. It's Polish people that have come up with it, and they're always really good at coming up with weird, strange, dark, magical, odd things. So yeah, the actual setting for Tainted Grail itself, I was impressed by. But then as we started playing it and the story started evolving, I can't say anything because of spoilers, but the story really evolves in that game, and you start learning more about things and the world and everything else. I thought my microphone had fallen off then for a minute. And yeah, and again, I can't say anything because of spoilers, but wow, absolute wow moments in that game. Probably one of my most enjoyable narrative experiences in playing a game, if not the most. Don says, would you be interested in doing a playthrough for the extension game from Barrage, Lee Water Project? I have a copy of it. Yes, I mean, I really like Barrage. It's a game I need to go back to and play again. I have the expansion. It's on the list. It's on the list of games that I want to cover. So yes, I do have interest in it. Stenabro says, you're looking great. Are you feeling better than 2 to 3 weeks ago? Thank you. Yes. Right now, today, I am better than I was 2 to 3 weeks ago. Right? I'm still working stupid hours, but right now I am better than I was a couple of weeks ago. Thank you very much for asking. Matty says, did you fell in love with board gaming and how? I've been a board gamer forever, okay? And I fell in love with board gaming probably around the mid-80s. It was something that I played, and you know, bear in mind the board games that we had in the mid-80s were not great games, but I loved them. And I just got into them and I played them. And it's not because I was in a group of friends that got into board gaming. I got into board gaming and then my friends got into board gaming, and all of my friends are from board gaming. So yeah, I've been in love with board gaming for a very, very, very long time. And that is everything. You're typing away. Is there anything important? No. Thank you very much for watching. It's 5 to 7. I am going to have to tell Andy and contest. Which one? This one. Final chance. Well, no, final chance. Again, if you're not watching this live, you can still enter the contest. Click on the link in the chat. The key phrase, secret word you need is Aston Martin. Thank you very much to Games Law for basically giving £25 worth of vouchers. Enter the contest, you can win £25 worth of vouchers. And my other 2 contests, the one for Bonfire and the Patreon one, linked to the Patreon channel. So yeah, this one is linked to the Patreon. Apologies if it's confusing that I'm running 3 different contests, but yeah. Aston Martin, says Russ. Yes, Aston Martin. Yeah, that is everything. So yeah, if I didn't get to your question, apologies, but I am feeling quite faint because I need to eat and I have a playtest in 3 minutes time. This is going to be fun. As I mentioned, I do these every month. So what I'm going to do tonight or tomorrow, I am going to start another thread on my BGG Guild. If you are not a member of the BGG Guild, please go to the BGG Guild, click join, click subscribe, and at some point in the next 24 hours, I will post ask me your questions for October. Okay, start putting your questions in there. So if you think of one now, I don't have time to answer it now, put them in the thread for October and I will answer them in October. There you go. It's been 2 hours. It's been the longest Q&A we've done, which is probably why I'm feeling quite faint. But thank you very much to everybody for joining in the chat. Thank you very much to all of the questions that I had beforehand. And thank you to all of the questions in the live chat. I'm going to disappear now and do some playtesting of Frostpunk. That's what I'm doing this evening. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, everybody. I will be back later in the week with some more live streams. In fact, I'll be back tomorrow. Live stream of Plunderous tomorrow night. And then 3 live streams on Friday. Probably 2 private for Patreon supporters behind the scenes. And then a live stream of Tapestry on Friday night. That's everything. We'll see you later on. Cheers, everyone. Good night.
Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.